Hello everybody, how are you today? So, I posted up a video on a Facebook group. Good. A couple people have been wondering how I made this texture. Just basically like it's all one texture and it makes the object appear. All right? You don't need like a second object to duplicate over the first. Or you don't need to do anything complicated like that. It is complicated, I shouldn't say it's not. But let me show you the texture setup, the node setup. Just because I am not going to be able to explain this very well to you at all. This is a lightning tutorial. It is an Iron Man tutorial, and that could be it. I think it's like 2 or 3 tutorials mashed into one. So basically, like a lot of this, so like this all right here has been duplicated twice, right? You'll probably see it. There's one stack of the same exact node setup right here, and one right here. Now, like on the Iron Man tutorial, they tell you to duplicate the object because one of them is going to be basically like a silver, and then the other one's going to be the red and yellow and all that stuff. Fantastic. But I don't want to do two separate objects. I would have to rig 2 separate characters that basically move in the exact same way, and I don't want that shit. So instead of making 2 objects, I just duplicated this entire thing. I plugged one into surface and one into emissions. You're probably thinking like, well, what the hell is this? I'm not being very good at telling you what this is. So I'm going to go right to left because that's going to be way easier for me to do. We're going to put a mixed shader. This is the volume. I'm going to put a transparent and another mixed shader. Okay. And we're going to go emissions. All right. And this is going to like, it's plugged into volume. So it's going to make the inside of the object glow instead of the outside. It's going to look a little bit different from the Iron Man tutorial, but it's going to have the same effect. Okay? So got the emissions and the color ramp. This is going into the factor, which is really important. Okay. This is going to go to a mix. And I only did this blue just in hopes that it would kind of emphasize the emissions. But in hindsight, I mean, we're plugging it into factor, so the blue probably won't matter a lot at all. Anyway, so we got the mix, and we got a noise texture that's 4D, and then we got a gradient texture that's set to linear. And from there, we just got a mapping node plugged into a texture coordinate node. So we're going to go object to vector, and then we're going to plug those 2 vectors into the noise and the gradient. The one thing that is really important here, okay, is this empty texture nano. So that empty is located right here. So as I move this empty, texture goes up and down, right? Amazing. Now, I mean, like, we could just stop, right? We could just stop here. But if I try to bring up one of the older files of the same exact... Okay, you see how you can see all of the outlines, right? And that's just because, like, some of the objects, like, this is basically a bunch of different pieces shaped into one object. Like, the camera head, for example, like, face, and then all of that little bit of overlap. That overlap is making the entire thing glow. Don't want that. That's where the lightning tutorial came in. This right here. So same thing, texture coordinate. You're going to want to make sure that the object is set to this empty right here. And length. Then greater than. And I just put the threshold pretty low. Because what this is doing is it's taking away from those outlines. Oh shit. It's taking away from those outlines that we were seeing earlier. We don't want those outlines. Completely invisible before it starts to go up and become. I want all of those outlines. So that's what this is right here. We got an invert connected to greater than, length, object. Object is the empty. And this is also going to go into factor, okay? These aren't like, this isn't technically like a shader or anything like that. It's just, it's influencing the shader because it's a factor. And what is influencing it is this empty right there. Cool. I probably am just repeating myself right now, but see, and then from here, well, this is a different one from earlier. This is the volume. So this is the surface going up, right? So you can take literally any like principled shader. You can take an image texture. You could even like, this texture is made completely from nodes, and it's a little bit more sloppy, but like this is the texture for the legs, right? And it's plugged in to this mix right here. The other shader is gonna be a transparent because all those outlines are gonna be completely invisible. We want the outlines to be completely invisible. Back to the black one. So surface, right? Got principled. This is just black, basic, kind of a plastic. Transparent, right? Color ramp, that's gonna go into the factor. And again, we got these mix, got these noise textures, the gradient, mapping, object. So this one right here is the one that takes away the outline. And the outlines are caused from the volume. Okay, so you're gonna plug these. These are carrying the outlines. Invert, greater than, length, texture coordinate. Texture coordinate object is again the empty. I'm gonna repeat myself like thoroughly because there's literally 3 texture coordinates. Every single one of them, exact same thing. Probably just like shorten this up a little bit. 1. But yeah, who knows? And then yeah, it's hard to explain, but this is it. It's literally this duplicated twice. So you get your mix shaders, 2 of them. Your transparent is going to go into the far right one. Whoops. So your transparent is going to go into the far right. Another mix shader. Emissions, color ramp, mix, noise, gradient, mapping, texture coordinate. That all goes into the factor. Factor, all right? Because that is what is influencing the emission. And we again have to basically like ladder it down because there's one factor plugged in here and then there's one factor plugged in here. This doesn't happen with the surface. You don't do this with the surface. You only do this with the volume. Okay? Because the volume needs 2 factors. This again, outlines. You don't want those outlines. You want it to be completely invisible. These 4 are going to make it completely invisible. Right? So I don't know if I missed anything. I don't think I did. This is literally like I got the same setup, every single object, just a slightly different principled, you know, and everything's kind of jumbled differently throughout all of these. Same principle every single time. These 4 are going to make your object completely invisible. Yes, that's from the lightning tutorial. And all this right here is from the Iron Man tutorial. Okay. Take the Iron Man tutorial one, duplicate it, plug one into surface, one into volume. That's all you got to do. Done. If you want to get rid of the outlines, you take these 4 and you just plug it into the volume. That's it. I hope this helps answer your questions, future. I'm sorry if it wasn't quite the best tutorial in the world. This is literally the first tutorial I've ever made. So, if you like it, please give a like and subscribe. And if you actually found any sort of benefit from the tutorial, let me know and I will gladly make more. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped.